he was like, really, man, like sometimes people just, if you can't find them, they just want to be gone, right?
Right.
And I assume that he was telling me this based on his experience.
Correct.
You know, because people show up, you know, and it's only yesterday. And I was like, okay. But in my mind, I'm like, sure, but not this guy.
Yeah, it's my dad.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
This guy don't want to be gone. So that started us looking for him. Now he's missing. And I say looking for him anywhere from handing out flyers in the neighborhood to talking to the establishments that are close by, talking with organizations in Houston, whatever I can find, whoever I can talk to. So from August 2016 to February 2017, we have no idea where he is.
Top of the morning, the afternoon, and the evening to you. I am your host, AntMoe, and welcome to another episode of Cultivating Konversations, where we curate cultivating conversations for the culture. Man, we got my boy, man. This is a guy. I properly coined him this, 15 years ago. He's the Christian P. Diddy. Hey, no Diddy. We can't even use that no more. We can't. It makes it even more funny now. We can't say that anymore. It was based off of his work ethic, but I don't know his affiliation with baby oil. So we won't use that anymore. So anyway, man, we have my boy. This dude is one of the most brilliant guys I know. He is a speaker. He is a coach. He is a theologian, biblical scholar, mind you. You know what I'm saying? He is a pastor, a husband, a father. He is late night hype Randall, my boy Chris Randall in the building. My guy, what's the deal?
I'm good, sir.
Man, it's a pleasure, dog. As y'all can see, I'm excited to do this interview, man. We was capping for about 10 minutes before we got into it, man. Yeah. And as I've been saying lately, let's get into it before we get into it. You know what I'm saying? That's a double entendre for your mind. But man, welcome to the stew, man. You've been here before, but you know we got a different little setup, man.
Yeah, man. Listen, I like the the upgrades and the progression. So it's dope to be here, and 2025. I'm gonna be here a lot more. So
yes, sir.
Looking forward to it.
So man, we could start in a lot of places, man. And I really rack my brain right now. Let's go to the inception, bro. I remember we're in the apartment complex.
Yeah.
That's my first remembrance, at least. I think we were both going to the laundromat.
Mm-hmm. Something like that, yeah.
Here's the weird thing. I remember, this is the thing that got me first. I have to be very professional, but this is the thing that got me first about him. He had on a tank top, right? And he had his dreads, and he kept scratching his armpit with his thumb, and it just was driving me nuts. I was like, what is this dude doing? You were talking, and then you go. Anyway, it drove me nuts. But this guy introduced me to the idea of entrepreneurship. He expanded my mind beyond what life could look like just within the church walls. And I think for me, I've always been such a gung-ho guy I was just on what I was on. And so to listen to people was always very foreign to me because my grandmother passed when I was a freshman in college, and so I was just jumped off the porch early. And so to take in the advice of other people, to see other men as an example was something that was very foreign to me. And so you opened my eyes to a whole different way of looking at life, business. So how did that mindset get into you? What was your introduction to that?
Man, I think that for one, I can say my dad. When I was in high school, my goal and dream was to be in entertainment. So I was acting in plays, going on auditions, things like that, and I just did it because I loved it. Yeah. So anytime somebody asked me to do their show, to be in their play, I was just down because I was like, yo, another opportunity to be on stage.
For sure.
And my dad, one day he said, listen, I want you to understand that when you're in somebody's play, you're making it better.
Yeah.
They ask you to be a part of it for a reason. So make sure you're not being taken advantage of. Make sure you are not elevating their show and you're not getting any compensation or any type of come up. If they're progressing because of it,
Yeah.
make sure you are progressing from it. Not just monetarily, but are you getting more exposure? Are you getting to meet other people that you wouldn't have met, had you not done the play?
Yeah.
Just make sure they're not using you to make their thing better and you're not better because of it, after the fact. So after he said that, I was like, it opened and expanded my mind. I was like, man, people do. They say, man, thank you for being in this play. And man, you were so funny. And man, this was so dope. So it caused me to, from that point, kind of think about what I do, but think about life, more than just, okay, I'm just going to be in your play. Like kind of gave me some sort of, even though it was small, a roadmap, like a formula of a way to look at, the things that I'm doing. So I think from that point on, just continuing to, learn. I was around other people that helped to expand my mind, still friends with, Drew Collins to this day. And he was a big part of my life musically, introduced me to new, music. I grew up, in Fort Worth, Texas, and we only listened to contemporary Christian music, like on the radio. We don't listen to like KLTY back in the day when it was like the main one.
Brutal.
Right. So Drew was like, yo, have you heard this? Have you heard this? These people from Philadelphia, these people out of, whatever. So that, helped as well. And just hanging out with him, doing different things in the church. We had a lot of freedom at the church that we were going to, his dad's church. It was a lot of older people at the congregation, but the young people ran and facilitated the church. So we had the opportunity to just go wild as far as our creativity. Let's put out an album. Let's do something that nobody's doing. He talked about it all the time. A couple years ago, Kanye West started Sunday service. So they take like classic R&B type joints and they're writing new lyrics or they're doing something new with it and kind of turning it back to, or not back to, but turning it to talking about the Lord. Well, we was doing that like 20 years ago. We was taking, is it Jaquan or who? We was taking back with LimeWire and Napster and stuff like that. We was finding the instrumentals and then just writing other words to it. And then we would go around to youth groups and perform for the youth groups.
Yeah.
And we put together an album. That's what we were doing, so that was the type of thing that we were on, just young and just excited about doing something that not a lot of other people were doing. So that's the mind frame I was on, and it would just, the people I would talk to would just kind of catch.
Let me point out to y'all the one thing about black people that they go do. They go pioneer something without pioneer something. Yeah. Black people be like, I don't know if y'all remember that wave. It was like, yeah, man, I had COVID before it was a thing. I remember I had I couldn't taste nothing, I couldn't smell, but it hadn't hit us. I caught it in November, but March is when it really fell down. So, but that's dope, though. Yeah. I remember you telling me about that, and I always thought that was a super dope thing of like, man, let the youth kind of get their experience, they kind of like lead that thing. And it's like, as long as we are kind of overseeing the right way, everybody can be included. Mm-hmm. And I'll say this, Drew, to this day, one of the dopest debut albums that I've heard from somebody that wasn't like the mainstream artist. Mm-hmm. I remember being very impressed with that album and just bumping that joint like, yo, this is fire. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Shout out to him for that. So let me ask you this. What were your initial thoughts of at that time, I probably was like 25, 24 or something like that. What were your initial thoughts of a young AntMoe? Because I know I was a mess. Let me be clear. I was a rumbling mess.
I think definitely like fiery. Like you hear about it, people like, yo, when I first came to God, like I would do whatever. I would go preach whenever, wherever. Just give me a Bible and a microphone, and I'm there.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't care where I was. One time I remember I was at the Chick-fil-A and I was just ministering, saving everybody at the you know, like
I was slaying everybody in the spirit.
It was like people and chicken
everywhere. Sandwiches everywhere. Yeah.
People talk like that, and like you were definitely, because we were doing a hip hop concert at the church. So it was a lot of artists who were hip hop artists, but their music was for, you know, Christians.
Mm-hmm.
So we had flyers and we was passing it out, and I handed Ant one, like, as we were passing by, and Ant was very dry as well. So it was like real, like fiery and dry at the same time. So he grabbed it. You grabbed it and you didn't even read it fully. You grabbed it and said, "Nah, I don't be doing that. Like,
I'm good, bro.
I serve the Lord.
I'm a Christian.
And I was
I
like,
know your devil music is probably gonna be cool.
He was like,
I'm not interested.
No, I ain't even on this. I'm you know. And I was kind of standing there, and then he looked at it again, and he said, "Oh, wait. Oh, this for church? Oh, okay. I thought you was like trying to invite me to the club or something. I was gonna say I don't even roll like that. But okay. So tell me about it. Like, then it clicked in when you actually read, but you saw the flyer, you saw all the colors.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, this is.
If this was something
devil.
evil, yeah. If this was holy, this would be black and white. This would be a different color scheme.
Right.
Yeah.
This ain't even the red and the words of Jesus.
It doesn't represent
no.
crimson stained blood. Yeah.
So that's what I like.
That's
real. It was real, just like real cut and dry. Real like, nah, I don't listen to that. No, I don't do that. I'm fasting right now, actually.
Yeah.
You don't even know.
I ain't 8 weeks. I ain't even 8, dog. That's why I'm really so angry. Nigga, you got some food for me. Nah, but so, oh man, because I don't want to laugh this whole interview, bruh. Because I promise you I will. So how does a young Chris come to faith? Because I mean, it seems like from what I can hear, you are already very grounded. Because the other thing that I wanted to ask you too was, what did your dad see that he saw it necessary to caution you in the way that he did, right? He didn't say, hey, don't do it, son. Or he said, hey, make sure that you're getting something out of this and that you're not just the person that they're using. Yeah. So it's, you know, whichever one you want to start with, but how did you come to faith? And then did you have the understanding of why your dad took the approach that he did?
My dad was one of the wisest people that I've ever met. I don't know, I'd say I'm like 12, 13 years old. And it was some sort of stain on my shirt, on my clothes or whatever. I was like, man, I can't get this stain out. He looked at it. He was like, go in our bathroom, get some of your mama's fingernail polish remover. Put that on the stain. It's gonna come right out. And I was like, fingernail polish remover? Why would I? He said, fingernail polish remover has polyurethane in it. Polyurethane is gonna get on the stain. It's gonna lift it. It's gonna come off of there. Like that. I'm saying random.
Yeah.
Information. He was a contractor. I used to work with him, and we were cutting something. We didn't have a lot of resources, so he used the tools that he had available.
For sure.
Which a lot of times meant he was using the wrong tool for the job, but whatever. We got to get it in how we get it in.
Right.
So I was using a carpet knife to cut sheetrock. Carpet knives are some of the sharpest knives. I'm cutting, long story short, I cut through my finger, through the nail, like halfway through. He was somewhere else. Before he left, he said, be careful, don't cut yourself. So, boom, I cut myself, and I went to him. I was like, I didn't even say that. I just looked at him. He was like, you cut yourself, didn't you?
Wise guy. You cut yourself,
yeah.
didn't you?
He looked at it. He said, okay. got two options.
Did your dad, hold on, did your dad talk like Kojak or like Billy D. Williams?
He was just like, when I say, I've never heard my dad yell.
My kids, I failed already.
Like my kids know all of my volumes.
I'm
right?
sorry.
I've never heard him yell.
So my kids know all my volumes.
They know them all. They know when I come close, I say, "Hey, I need you to."
Yeah. Because I'm about to strike.
They perk up.
You better chill out.
But he looked at it. He said, "You got two options. We can go to the hospital. They can put some stitches in it, or you can go in the house and put some pepper on it." And I said, "What are you talking about? Pepper?" I said, "It's gonna sting." He said, "No."
I'm not a chicken.
He said, "It's not salt, it's pepper." I was like, "What is pepper gonna do?"
Yeah.
He said, "The pepper is gonna mix with the blood. It's gonna coagulate." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Coagulate means melt. It's gonna stop the bleeding. When it stops, then you clean it out and you just put a Band-Aid on it." It literally did everything he said. And I would look at him like, "Who are you?"
I'm like, I would have said, look, I don't know if my sexual preference has to do with anything. But you said, what?
What are you talking about? So this was my dad.
Yeah.
With just information, with the word, like I would be like, this is crazy. So when he talks to me, I want to pretty much all my life knew, okay, this dude has something to say. This dude is smart. But when he saw me and how I was really good at entertaining, performing, acting, and how I would just go do whatever.
Really willing. Yeah.
I was just like,
I'm there.
He
need
saw,
what? Yeah.
Like, hey, this is what you want to do. You love it so much that you will do it for free. I think that was one of the things where he's like, that part is great, but if you gonna do whatever,
you got to get something out of it.
People will maybe they're not even trying to, but they will misuse that. They will take advantage of the fact that, oh yeah, he'll do it. Just give him such and
listen,
such.
he just loves the stage.
He just loves the stage.
Get him. Yeah.
Just, and he will do it. And he's going to make it better.
Yeah, he going to love it. Yeah, it's nothing like that. You like, free labor? Yes.
So I think he saw that and he was like, be careful. Do it. Go for it. But just be careful. So dude was like I missed that guy. Like he was so wise. I would listen to him like when he would, minister and preach at church. I was like, what? Where did you get that word?
You like, I read this. It didn't say that.
What does transmogrify mean? How did you weave that into Romans chapter 3?
See, that's the process of when your faith comes with your spirit, man. And you be like, Dad, what?
So he was really good at breaking things down for people, making it relatable. Everybody, if you talk to anybody who knows my dad, they'd be like, that Mike, that's a good guy right there.
So I'm assuming he's the person who led you to faith, led you to, led you through the sinner's prayer or whatever. He had to, and it's got to be an amazing story. Okay, okay, so
the story's not even amazing. You remember Gospel Bill?
Well, hold on. Clearly, if he's not a part of it, it's not amazing. But you know what I'm saying? I'm like, dude, I wish I'd have met this guy.
I was 9 years old, and it was an old show on VHS called Gospel Bill.
Never heard of that, but yeah.
I'm old. So it was like, it was a Western, and I don't know if the sheriff was a Christian or somebody in the town, and they would have these little, scenes or whatnot for kids, and then at the end of the video, it was like, does anybody want to give their heart to the Lord? So it was a Gospel Bill tape that I was watching. I don't know if I was at home or if I was at church. I can't remember.
You just know the scales fell off.
I was...
I just know I saw my sins.
The heavens opened up, and it was a bright light that shone down on me.
I said, I'm a sinner.
Like,
how old are you?
I do be taking cookies.
My dad is Mike, and he's the most wisest. He's it's Solomon. That is my dad.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So it was Gospel Bill, But he was always. My dad would tell me stuff like, still to this day, he would be like, live a fasted life.
Mm.
He was like, there shouldn't be anything in your life that if you have to step away from it, you can't. And again, this was about what's easy for us to fast. We usually go to food. So he would be like, yes, we're doing that. We're putting this sugar or bread or whatever away for this time. But he said, but you should live a fasted life. Your life should be like that. You know, it shouldn't be anything in your life that you like, I just can't stop going to the movies or playing, whatever it is. Live like
for sure.
And I'm a young teen.
Yeah.
And he's telling me stuff like this. You know, so my dad was just that guy. He would, I mean, it was crazy. Yeah, he was a man.
Growing up with that type of direction, I could imagine, because I see the same thing in my kids. I think just having the balance of having parents, you know, I'm not here to tell you in what form, you know, obviously you want them under the same roof is probably the best dynamic for a child. But I think I saw in my child, she'll be 18 this month, I seen her have a strong sense of self at a young age because of the intentionality, the love that she received. She was an only child for a long time. How was that coming up for you? Like discovering the arts, of course, at a young age, you know, coming to the Lord, whatever age that was, and then having that type of wisdom and guidance. How did you maneuver through that early part of your life with that built-in dynamic to your life?
So I got saved when I was 9, and it really, to everybody else, I was like the square, you know. I don't drink, I don't cuss, you know, I don't have sex, like all that kind of, don't listen to secular music really, you know, like that. Everything I heard was like either from the radio, like at school.
Yeah.
Driving by in their cars. And I'm like, what's that?
What is that? That Tupac?
Right. Who's Tupac?
Right, first of all.
So, I had confidence, but there's still, when you're a teenager, you're still building.
Yes.
There's an element that I'm like good, like I'm strong, like I know that, you know, Jesus is somebody that you want and you want to have a relationship, but then I'm still finding my way as a person, you know, or, you know, talking to girls. So there's that aspect. But spiritually, I am as secure as a teenager, you know, can be, because of my dad, because of my parents, you know, because of how strategic they were in finding the places for us to go, you know, and worship, you know, as a family. My parents, we would go to a lot of the churches we went to when I was growing up were predominantly white churches. And one of the reasons is because they were like, I don't want you and your sister to be uncomfortable around white people. Like I don't want you to only know what it's like to be around black people, and then you get around other people.
Just
like,
get a different exposure,
right?
Balance.
They had a lot of, I won't say a lot, at least they had some. They had some friends that they would like talk about them. Like they would be like, you know, Mike and Lord, they go to that white church. Like they would, you know, really be, these are friends. So it's not like they dogging them out, but they would still like make.
You just outside on your friend.
You know,
like,
comments, yeah.
Y'all going over carrying them, huh?
Right. But we had those examples, you know, growing up. My dad, so first of all, when they were married, I don't think I wasn't born. So my parents grew up in like, you know, it's Texas, it's Fort Worth, so it's a lot of Kojic churches. So they grew up in kind of like, you know.
I'm not familiar with none of that denominational stuff, so you got to help me out.
Kojic is Church of God in Christ.
Okay.
So, and there can be a lot of legalism. in those type of environments, right? So my dad is just reading the Bible, and just, this is what the Bible say. So he was leading a Sunday school, and he was just telling the people in the Sunday school what the Bible is saying.
Mm-hmm.
But something about what he was saying wasn't vibing with their denominational beliefs. And the pastor or the leaders, like, they didn't like what he was talking about. And he was like, I'm just preaching, I'm just reading what the Bible says. Like, that's all I'm doing.
Hi, guys. Lie, guys.
They asked my dad to leave the church. They asked my dad to leave, and then they asked my mom, can Mike just go and you stay?
I know y'all are one, but
and she was like,
y'all become
what?
a half for us. Crazy work.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, that's insane.
She was like, this is my husband. What are you talking about? Where he goes, I go.
Yeah.
So their last Sunday there, the pastor like dogged them out in front of
From the pulpit?
in front of the congregation. Mike and Lori about to leave, and they leave
You lying.
to go do sin. And
They did not address them by name.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is spicy, bro.
Yeah, because that particular denomination, when you leave, it's like you're leaving the Lord.
Yeah.
Because he's here only.
I think that's kind of Church of the Nazarene
You
kind
know?
of feels too, to be honest, because I feel like I kind of got something like that at one point too.
Yeah.
But I digress.
But I grew up like this. We went to a church and we were visitors.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I'm going to stress that. It's our first Sunday. And we were invited by a black family, which is the only black family. So it's the black family that's there, and it's us. The only two black family there.
Yeah.
We were visitors, and I'm probably like 12, 13 years old.
Mm-hmm.
My dad, towards the end of service, stands up and says, basically, I'm just telling you what the Lord is saying. There are people here who struggle with their feelings about black people. And that's just something that you gotta
work through that.
You gotta, but some of y'all need to work on.
Yeah.
So, and I vaguely remember this, but my mom tells the story, to make it clear. So it was kind of silent. And then one by one, the congregation starts to raise their hand.
It's me.
To confess stuff.
It's me you're looking for. I am racist.
And just talk about their experiences growing up and all this stuff. After that, the pastor brings my dad up to the front and they wash his feet.
Wow. This is insane to me, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
Yes.
You're blowing my mind right now.
And we eventually joined that church, and we was there for some years. But I'm telling that because these are the things, that I grew up hearing about or experiencing. So my dad was the guy was like, if that's what the Lord says, like that's what the Lord says. Like he was very what was important to him was like. A big thing to him was like the reconciliation of black and white people, specifically within the church, specifically Christians. Because he's like, if we get it right, then people who aren't in the faith can get it right. Yeah. We can be an example. Who else are they going to go to or to see if it's not us? So my dad was really into what was on his heart was the reconciliation of black Christians and white Christians. So he would go around to different churches to try to bring people together so they can, start this work, because he felt like if anybody can do it, the church can do it, and the church can be the example to non-believers to see black people and white people, coming together. he would go around to the churches in Fort Worth. You know, you can close your eyes and throw a rock and you'll hit a church. Churches everywhere.
3 side by side by side.
Yeah.
Literally, yeah.
So he would be like, yo, there's so much that we're trying to do individually. Why don't we just come together on some efforts? And a lot of the things wouldn't go anywhere because everybody is like, well, whose name gonna be on the program, and whose pictures gonna, just foolishness.
Mm-hmm.
But that was him. He was wise. He was calm. He was giving. Like, he was funny. Like, he was just. I was I was dating this girl. We weren't dating. We was just talking. And I had a play, I think, downtown Jubilee. I think that was what was going on. And she came down to see the play. So she also came over for dinner. She was in medical school. So my dad disappears for, I don't know, a couple minutes and comes back and hands her like some type of foliage, like some leaves or something. And we was like, Dad, what are you doing? He said, hey, giving this to the doctor. This could be the cure for cancer. If you can, like, he was so silly. He was mad.
You can put this under a microscope.
I bet you'll find something.
Check the properties. That is hilarious.
But dude, he was silly like that. But his thing was, like, he would say, like, the worst that can happen is you can get a no. That's the type of, so he would do off the wall things because he was like, I mean, what's the worst that can happen? It don't work, or they tell me no, like, that's no big deal. So that's the type of environment, that's the type of thing my dad was on.
So it is, first of all, I have a statement to make after we go here. I don't know how far we're gonna get into this because this could take a whole nother life of its own. But the question is, well, now these people are like, this man is talking about his dad for 30 minutes. Right?
Okay,
you see what I'm saying? No.
Okay.
And I'm like, I have never met this man, and I'm almost in awe of him.
Yeah.
So so obviously you made reference to, was, or, so now we have to get into what the situation is about your dad, right? Because that's an abrupt thing. So it's like we can touch that. Like I said, I have a statement, and then we can move on with the rest of this interview.
Okay.
But there's a traumatic experience that happened, so we have to get into that, respectfully, so that we can give the people backstory, and then we can get into the rest of this. So
what do you want? You want the Cliff Notes? You want the full story?
Bro, we can chop this up to be part 1, part 2. I don't really care, but I do want to get into it because there may be something within that may give somebody something that they need for sure.
So, all right, I'm all right.
I'll try to merge the two.
Right, real quick.
Elongated Cliff Notes.
Right.
I already know.
So 2016, my dad went missing. So this is like July 31st. July 31st went missing. Me and my family at this time, my wife and 2 boys, were on our way to Dallas. I get a phone call. My mom says, I'm nervous because I don't know where your dad is. This is Sunday. So turn the car around and drive to the house that he's supposed to be at. Mom and Dad had bought a house. My mom's mom was getting older. So the bigger house, they were going to be able to move her in to take care of her. And the house needed to be renovated. And over the last, I don't know how long he had been working on the house before this, but it was a common thing because they wanted to be quick. He would go over the house on Saturday, spend the night, work on it throughout the night, and then wake up, go get mom, and then, they would go to church. Mm-hmm. So it's around 11:30, 12-ish, something like that, like noon, midday, and she hadn't got a call. She was calling him. He wasn't answering. So that's when she called me. So go to the house, and there's nothing abnormal there. And I go close by to the area that, the house was in, Walmart, hardware stores, stuff like that, because hardware stores was like his toy store.
Mm-hmm.
Get lost. So seeing if I see anything, maybe his, car broke down. He was changing a tire. He was putting stuff in it, like whatever, fixing on it. Didn't see the vehicle. Go talk to the officer at the Walmart. This is the situation. My dad is missing. How long has he been missing? Since yesterday. He's like, well, it's too soon to fill out a missing persons report, which is not really true. It just meant it was too soon for them to start doing anything.
Anything about
They
it.
don't
Yeah.
do things to like 48 hours, like something like that,
Right.
as far as if I can remember. But you can fill out a missing person report anytime you want to. And he was like, really, man, like sometimes people just, if you can't find them, they just want to be gone, right?
Right.
And I assume that he was telling me this based on his experience.
Correct.
Because people show up, and it's only yesterday. And I was like, okay. But in my mind, I'm like, sure, but not this guy.
Yeah, this is my dad.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
This guy don't want to be gone. So that started us looking for him. Now he's missing. And I say looking for him anywhere from handing out flyers in the neighborhood to talking to the establishments that are close by, talking with organizations in Houston, whatever I can find, whoever I can talk to. So from August 2016 to February 2017, we have no idea where he is. I'm doing interviews on the news. Like it's a lot, going on. And 6 months of thinking and hoping and praying, your hope starts to fade. There's certain things. I remember the family came over to hand out flyers in the neighborhood, and I was like, can somebody do me a favor and pray? Because I just don't really have it, right now. The words, I don't know what I can put together that I've not already put together before.
Yeah.
Be able to, pray. And really interesting time frame because I'm still a husband, I'm still a father. At this time, I was a substitute teacher, and I'm still doing all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And me and my wife are still trying to find, good times or happy times, and still going on dates. And she's singing background. I'm going to see her at the show.
Yeah, for sure.
It's still like, because like the life is just, there's so many different variations or different things that can happen. People can be in the hospital and have amnesia and not like your brain starts to like put together like things that you see on TV.
Yeah, for sure.
Like somehow they ended up over here.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff. But as time goes on, I'm just like 2 weeks missing, and we found him. Like, that's okay, doable. But 3 months and 4 months and 6 months, guy, like, where could somebody be for 6 months alive and they not find their way home? So we get a call. I get a call mid-February 2017 from the detective. Detective says, I need to meet with you and your mom and your sister. What's the time frame? And hangs up the phone. And I just was like, nothing about the call seemed good.
Right.
It seemed like good news. So he gets us together, and he was like, a couple of months ago, you gave us a DNA sample because they were looking in Fort Worth, and months before that, they were like, we found a body somewhere. I think the Trinity River. So we want to test to make sure. So I had to give a DNA sample. He said, you gave me that sample, and we also got a hit on a red light camera going into New Orleans. We didn't see any car come out, none of that. We just saw it go in. That made me cross-reference your DNA sample with New Orleans, and we got a hit. So he starts to continue, just I guess through the process. And I was like, hold on, sir. Like, what happened? want me to tell you? And I was like, yeah. I asked my
It's
mom.
been 6 months. You like,
Yeah, asked my sister, like, are y'all okay? And they were
Yeah.
like, yeah. Because we want, like you said, 6 months, we want to know.
You want answers, yeah.
So it was, cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head. And he was bound, tied up, and whoever did it tried to dispose of the body by setting him on fire, and then his body was found in a dumpster. So that is a whole nother set of thoughts and experiences and, another set of emotions that are, for me, different than the fact that he's dead. Now, how he died is another whole element of, like, this is crazy. I can't say that I ever really got angry, but it was very like why, what happened? Like, why this guy? Because these circumstances sound, again, like the movies. It sounds like what happens to a bad guy at the end of the film,
right?
Because he da-da-da-da-da. But not this guy. Like, this, he deserves a better ending than this. Like, he deserves something else other than this.
Yeah.